All right, hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Ready when you are?
Awesome. Today we're looking at a topic that's super relevant, especially for you UPSC aspirants out there.
Yeah, it comes up all the time.
Definitely. We're talking drug trafficking and national security in India.
Huge for both mains and prelims.
Exactly. So pay close attention. We've got some fresh insights straight from recent news and government reports, stuff you'll want to know.
Definitely some stuff that could make or break you come exam time.
For sure.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. First off, we've got the Union Home Minister, right? He made a pretty strong statement at a recent regional conference.
Yeah, he was really hitting hard on the government's commitment to this whole fight against drug trafficking.
No kidding. And get this, he said, India's seen a seven-fold increase in drug seizures over the last decade.
Wow, sevenfold.
Yeah. We're talking Army is 16,914 crore worth of narcotics seized in 2024 alone, highest since independence.
That's a crazy number.
It is, and something tells me that could be a prelims question waiting to happen.
Oh yeah, for sure. Bet they're going to sneak
No.
that one in there. But it really just shows you the scale of the problem.
Absolutely. But on the flip side, it also suggests that the government's efforts, all that cracking down they've been doing, it's actually working.
Right, seeing some results for sure. But there's this whole other layer to it now, this whole new challenge.
You mean like the dark web and all that?
Exactly. The dark web, cryptocurrency, even drones, they're all being used in drug trafficking now, like something out of a movie.
It's crazy how fast things change.
Yeah.
And how are you even supposed to police that stuff?
Right. The dark web, it's like a hidden city inside the internet with all this secret trading going on. Anonymity is the name of the game.
So how do you even begin to tackle something like that? It's like trying to catch a ghost.
You need serious tech for that, and that's what India's investing in right now.
Makes sense.
They're boosting collaboration between states and agencies, getting the NCB, IB, and state police all on the same page.
That's got to help.
Oh, for sure. And they're bringing in cybersecurity experts, too. Got to fight fire with fire, right?
Definitely. But it's encouraging to see that even with all this new stuff, India's been winning some battles against narco-terrorism.
Especially in those hotspots, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Gujarat, even Uttar Pradesh.
And that just highlights the link between drug trafficking and terrorism, which is terrifying.
It's a huge national security threat. These networks aren't just selling drugs. They're funding terrorism with the profits.
And that's where this whole drug disposal fortnight comes in, right?
A whole fortnight dedicated to destroying drugs.
They're literally burning 1 lakh kilogram of narcotics, worth something like 8,600 crore.
Talk about sending a message. It's symbolic, sure, but it also has a practical impact.
Takes them right out of circulation.
Exactly. Less drugs on the streets, less harm done. And it shows how seriously India's taking this whole thing.
And it's not just about reacting after the fact either. The Home Ministry's got this whole three-pronged strategy to make India drug-free by 2047.
Yeah, it's a really ambitious goal. And you know what? This is prime material for your mains prep folks. It's a perfect example of how the government tackles big problems, how they formulate and implement policy.
So break down those 3 prongs for us.
Okay, so prong number 1, strengthening institutions. Basically, beefing up the Narcotics Control Bureau, giving them more manpower, resources, you name it.
Makes them more effective, right? Like giving them sharper teeth to bite back with.
Exactly. Now, prong 2 is all about coordination. You've got all these different agencies working at different levels, and sometimes they're not even talking to each other.
Sounds inefficient.
It can be. So this prong aims to streamline communication and information sharing. Get everyone on the same page working together, like a unified front against drug trafficking.
That's got to make a difference. What about the third prong?
That's all about awareness. Public awareness. To be specific, we're talking big campaigns like Nasha Mukti Abhiyan.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's all about educating people, especially young people, about the dangers of drugs, getting communities involved in the fight.
So it's recognizing that this isn't just a law enforcement problem, it's a societal one too.
Exactly. And, this whole thing ties back to what the Home Minister said about drug addiction holding back national development.
Right. A country can't progress if its young people are struggling with addiction.
It's a point that comes up a lot in the UPSC syllabus, the link between social issues and development.
And, it just goes to show the human cost of this whole thing. It's not just about numbers, it's about real people, real lives.
And to really understand the effort India's putting in, let's look at some numbers. Between 2004 and 2014, they seized 3.63 lakh kilograms of drugs.
Okay, that's a lot.
It is. But between 2014 and 2024, that number jumped to 24 lakh kilograms.
Wait, what? 24 lakh?
Yep, 7 times higher.
That's insane. It shows they're serious about this, right? But it's not just about force. There's a legal framework in place, too, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. It all starts with Article 47 of the Constitution.
Article 47. Remind me what that is.
That's the one that says the state has to prohibit intoxicating drugs, except for medical use, of course.
Right, right. So it's like the foundation for everything else.
Exactly. And then you've got specific laws like the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, the one from 1985, and the Prevention of Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act from 1988.
Whoa, those are some long titles.
I know, right? But they're the ones that really give teeth to controlling all the production, distribution, and consumption of narcotics in India.
So it's a whole legal system built around this problem.
It is. And then, of course, there's the Narcotics Control Bureau, the NCB. They're like the central hub of all this, coordinating agencies, gathering intel, doing raids, all that.
Right, they're the ones we always hear about.
They're kind of the face of it, but let's not forget the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment.
What do they do?
They're more focused on the demand side of things, reducing demand, rehab programs, that kind of stuff. It's about realizing that you have to tackle both sides, the supply and the demand.
Right, you can't just focus on stopping the drugs from coming in. You have to address why people are taking them in the first place.
Exactly. And speaking of addressing the problem, technology plays a huge role now.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's everywhere.
One of the big ones is the NCORE portal. That stands for National Cyber Operations and Research Division. Basically, it's a one-stop shop for information sharing between all the agencies involved in drug control.
So it's like everyone's connected, sharing intel in real time.
Exactly. It's way more efficient than everyone working in their own little silos.
Definitely. But what about the people who are already struggling with addiction? Where do they turn?
Well, there's the Menace Helpline. That's Madak Padarth Nish Asuchna Kendra, if you want the full name. It's a toll-free number, 1933, that anyone can call for information and support about drug addiction.
That's amazing.
And the Home Minister recently said they're expanding it to all 36 states and union territories. So no matter where you are in India, help is just a phone call away.
That's huge. Accessibility is so important when it comes to getting help.
For sure. But, it's not just about helplines and websites. India's taking a much broader approach.
Like what?
Well, they're setting up these anti-narcotics task forces, ANTS for short, in every state and union territory.
So that's more like boots on the ground.
Exactly. Plus, there are those big drug disposal drives we talked about, taking those drugs out of circulation.
Right, right.
And they've got this INIDAN portal. It's like a watch list for offenders, so they can keep track of them and prevent repeat offenses. Plus, there are the canine squads, those amazing drug-sniffing dogs.
Oh yeah, those dogs are incredible. They can sniff out drugs anywhere.
They're a huge asset, especially during raids and border checks.
So they're really using everything they can, tech, dogs, you name it.
They have to. It's a complex problem. And don't forget the forensic labs, they're getting upgraded too, so they can analyze seized substances and get better evidence.
Right, got to have the science to back it all up.
Definitely. And they're even setting up special courts to speed up trials for drug-related cases, so justice is served quicker.
So it's a multi-pronged attack coming at the problem from all sides.
It has to be. This isn't just some small-time issue. This is about national security, public health, everything.
It's about the future of the country.
Exactly. And it's encouraging to see the government taking such strong action. They're really committed to tackling this head on.
Man, this is a lot to take in, isn't it?
It really is. And crucial stuff, especially for anyone getting ready for the UPSC exams.
Totally. This is real-world stuff that impacts all of us, not just exam material.
Exactly. And it's constantly evolving, too. New technologies, new ways of doing things. It's like a never-ending game of cat and mouse.
Speaking of which, the Home Minister was really emphasizing those dangers of the dark web.
Yeah, that's a whole other beast.
It sounds kind of scary, to be honest, like something out of a spy movie.
It kind of is. You mentioned it earlier, but maybe we should explain it a bit more for our listeners. What exactly is the dark web and how does it play into all of this? So imagine a hidden part of the internet, like a secret city with its own set of rules.
Okay, I'm listening.
That's the dark web. It's all about anonymity, being untraceable. It's become a haven for illegal activities, drug trafficking being a big one.
So it's like a virtual black market.
Exactly. Criminals can operate there with this cloak of invisibility. It's incredibly difficult for law enforcement to penetrate.
And then you throw cryptocurrencies into the mix, and it's even more complicated.
Oh yeah, crypto is a whole other layer of complexity. It's decentralized, often anonymous, which makes it perfect for criminals trying to move money without being detected.
So traditional tracking methods don't really work.
They're pretty much useless in this scenario. It's a nightmare for law enforcement trying to keep up with all this.
It's like technology is a double-edged sword in this whole fight.
Couldn't have said it better myself. On one hand, we've got tools like the NCRD portal, helping our agencies communicate and share info.
Right, which is great.
Definitely. But then you've got criminals using that same technology to their advantage, making them harder to catch. It's a constant back and forth.
So for our listeners out there who are prepping for the UPSC, what's the takeaway here? How should they be approaching this topic?
It's about understanding the nuances, the connections between everything. You got to know the facts, the numbers, the key initiatives. That's all important.
But it's got to be more than just memorizing facts, right?
Exactly. The UPSC isn't just about spitting back information, it's about critical thinking. So when you're studying this, ask yourself the why questions. Why is this happening? What are the different perspectives on this? What could be the consequences of different policies?
It's about seeing the big picture and being able to analyze it all.
Absolutely. That's what sets a successful UPSC candidate apart.
And that's why it's so important to go beyond textbooks. Look at current events, government reports, analytical articles. That's where you'll really get the edge.
I completely agree. It's all about diving deeper and making those connections.
Well, speaking of diving deep, subscribing to the Deep Dive isn't a bad place to start.
Couldn't hurt.
We bring you in-depth analysis on all these important topics, and we try to make it interesting, not like some boring lecture.
Definitely more engaging than reading a textbook.
And hey, while you're at it, hit that like button and share this episode with your friends who are also on the UPSC journey. Sharing knowledge. That's how we all rise together, right?
Absolutely. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about something the Home Minister brought up, the impact of drug addiction on young people and how it affects national development. It's a harsh reality, you know?
It is. It's not just numbers on a page. This is about real lives being torn apart.
So true. Think of all the potential being wasted. This generation, they're our future, and if they're trapped in addiction, the whole country suffers.
It's a big deal, and it comes up all the time in the UPSC syllabus, especially when they talk about social issues and how they impact development.
Exactly. It highlights why those public awareness campaigns are so important. Things like the Nasha Mukhara Abhiyan are doing great work, educating young people about the dangers and promoting healthier choices.
It's about empowering them to make good decisions, but it can't just be top-down from the government, right? We need everyone involved.
So absolutely. It takes a village, as they say. Communities coming together, families supporting each other, people feeling comfortable reaching out for help without being judged.
That's where those helplines and rehab programs are so important.
They're a lifeline for those who need it, a way to get back on track, back to a healthy and productive life.
But let's be real for a second. The problem often goes deeper than individual choices. There's a lot of stuff that contributes to drug abuse. Things like poverty, unemployment, lack of education, social isolation.
Those are all huge factors.
They make people more vulnerable, more likely to fall into those traps.
It's crucial to understand those socioeconomic dimensions, especially for the mains exam. They create this vicious cycle that's so hard to break.
It's like trying to put a Band-Aid on a broken bone. You got to address the root cause.
Exactly. We need a holistic approach. Tackle the supply through law enforcement, address the demand with prevention, education, and rehab, and most importantly, create a society that provides opportunities and support for everyone, especially the most vulnerable.
It's about building a safety net and then giving people the tools to climb back up.
Well said. This isn't just a law enforcement issue or a health issue or a social issue. It's all of them tangled together.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening. It's clear that drug trafficking and its impact on national security is a seriously complex issue.
We've seen the numbers, the new technologies, the laws, the human cost. It's a lot to process.
We've looked at India's strategy, how they're trying to strengthen institutions, improve coordination, raise awareness, and we've talked about those underlying social and economic factors that play a part.
It's about understanding all the different pieces of the puzzle and how they fit together.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about. We've talked a lot about the challenges India faces in combating drug trafficking. But what about the opportunities?
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Sometimes the biggest problems can lead to the most innovative solutions.
I like that.
India is already making huge progress in technology. Imagine if we could use that expertise to develop even more sophisticated tools for disrupting drug trafficking networks.
Like what?
Think AI-powered systems that can analyze data, predict trends, identify threats before they even happen.
That would be game-changing.
And as India's role in the world continues to grow, it has the potential to really shape international drug policies.
In what way?
Imagine India leading the charge, pushing for a more humane and effective approach globally.
That's an inspiring thought. India could be a real force for change, encouraging collaboration between countries and advocating for policies that focus on prevention, treatment, and harm reduction instead of just punishment and stigma.
It's about recognizing that this isn't just India's problem. It's a global challenge that needs a global solution.
Well said. We need to work together if we want to make a real difference.
And it all starts with awareness. Understanding the complexities, the different sides of the story, the human stories behind the headlines.
That's what we try to do here on the Deep Dive, right?
Exactly. Knowledge is power,
Mm.
and by understanding the challenges we face, we can become more effective in creating change.
We need informed, engaged citizens who are passionate about building a better future.
That's the spirit of the UPSC, and that's the spirit of the deep dive. So keep learning, keep asking questions, keep those brains working.
Never stop learning, never stop growing.
And hey, before we sign off, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, leave us a review. Yeah.
Reviews really do help. It helps other people find the show, you know?
Exactly. It helps us reach more people who are, well, curious, want to learn.
People like you.
Exactly. So yeah, subscribe, leave a review. Really appreciate it.
And remember, folks, becoming a well-informed citizen, it's a journey, right? And so is acing the UPSC.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. It takes time, dedication, got to have that thirst for knowledge, and you got to be able to connect all those dots between, well, all the different issues, all the different subjects.
So keep diving deep, stay curious, never stop learning.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
And we'll be here with you every step of the way, bringing you more deep dives, more insights, all of those topics that really matter.
Until next time, folks.
Keep those brains buzzing.
And those ambitions soaring.
See you on the next deep dive.